So in this question here, we're going to do some hypothesis testing to a 5% significance level with these two distributions with a suitable observation taken into consideration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a sketch of the graph of each distribution and show you what's happening and show you where the rejection region is probably going to be. So X is distributed binomially 10, P. The null hypothesis is that the probability is 0.4. The alternative is that the probability is actually less than 0.4. So they've used an observation at X equals 1 to try and work out what's going on. So first of all, I'm going to do a sketch of this distribution using the information we've got. So if I draw that there, now my distribution goes from 0 to 10. So 0 to 10, and this would be my probability here. That would be the probability that X is less than or equal to some value X. That would be this number here. Now we know where the mean would be of this because it'd be 10 times the probability. So mu equals NP. So in this case, 10 times 0.4 is just 4. So you know most of the probability is going to be around 4. Now the standard deviation will be the square root of NP1 minus P. So in this case, it's going to be the square root of 4 times 0.6, which is around about 2.4. So for this case, it's 2.4, and it's the square root of that. So square root of 2.4 is approximately 1.5. So we know the standard deviation for that is going to give our tails somewhere around about here, where most of it will be containing the data, and maybe between 0 and 1, something like that. So as 4 is the peak, it will go a bit like this. If I drawed it, sketching the different bits, it's going to actually have blocks like this, but I've just rounded off where all the edges are just to show it as a curve. So what we're looking for is a hypothesis testing at the 5% significance and that the probability is less than 0.4. So what we're interested in is this bit here to be 5% or less than 5% ideally. So this is what's called the rejection region. So here we reject the null hypothesis, and here we accept the null hypothesis. So we've got to find out where our probability falls in that sketch. So what we need to do now, we've got our distribution. X is distributed binomially 10, 0.4, and we want to test it for using 1. So we want the probability X is less than or equal to 1. So what we do, use the binomial cumulative distribution function. So binomial CD function in our calculator using n equals 10, p equals 0.4, and x, depending on what model of calculator you got, x would be 1. And that should come out to 0.0464. So we can see that this is approximately 4.64%. So that is going to fall inside our rejection region. So therefore, in this case here, there's evidence to reject the null hypothesis in favour of the alternative hypothesis. So in this case, we reject the null hypothesis by virtue that this value here is less than 5%. So that's how we would deal with that one there. Now let's have a look at case here where probability is greater than 0.3 and see what we do. So same thing again, I'm going to do a little sketch of our distribution for this one. So n is 20, so the scale along here is going to range from 0 to 20. And up here we've got probability is x less than or equal to some value x. So first of all, let's find the mean. So mu would equal 20 times the 0.3. So that equals 6. So that's going to be the centre, and that'll be where our mean of our distribution is going to be. So if I put 6 around there, And then our standard deviation, that's going to be 6 times 0.7, which is going to be 6 times 0.7 is 0.42. So square root of 4.2. So 4.2 square root of that is just around about 2. So most of our data is going to be somewhere around about there. So that's going to be our mean. So if I just sketch that a little bit better, so that will come down somewhere like that. So that'll be our mean. And what we're looking for is our 5% significance. So our rejection region will be in the last 5% of this curve by virtue that probability is greater than 0.3. So therefore, we're looking for this value here if it's a rejection. So that's our rejection area. So let's put that there. That's our reject. So what we've got is test out this using our binomial CD function. But we've got greater than 0.3 and the observation is at x equals 10. So we're hoping that 10 is in here to reject it or here to accept our null hypothesis. So therefore we want to test out probability x is greater than or equal to 10, which as that's going the wrong way for our binomial CD function, we have to just manipulate our result a little bit and do that. Probability of 1 minus probability x is less than or equal to 9. So if we type that into our calculator, we'll get 1 minus 0.9520. And that would come out to 0.0480 approximately. Now again, we can see that that is also less than 5%. So this is approximately 4.8%. So that would definitely be in our rejection region. So therefore, again, we can reject the null hypothesis. And that's how we get to our result in this question. Okay.